Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Sadaya says, I have a child on the spectrum who once told she does the opposite or does not want to learn the things that are supposed to be done.
It sounds like she is. A lot of kids do this. It's kind of a way that they have learned to get attention, is to really try to do the opposite of what they're told, or basically anything that can upset the parent. And they've learned that because upsetting the parent is, negative attention is also attention, right? And so these are the types of things that a good behavior analyst can really help you with. I don't know where you are, Sadia, but I would really recommend that you get help from a BCBA, board certified behavior analyst, because that is the person who can help you identify every situation like this when they do the opposite, for instance. That you want to the BCBA will help you identify what the function is, like, in other words, exactly what is the child trying to gain, and how you deal with that, how you change your reaction and your behavior, so that this it's negative attention seeking changes. So if it is in fact attention seeking, I mean, that's what behavior analysts are very good at doing, Shannon, as you know, is they will ask you a lot of questions, and they will get uh, an idea of what the function is, and then they will give you some interventions that'll help. But this is not uncommon. It is a pretty common thing that our kids do, and it's intended to get you upset.
Well, one of the things that I've learned from you, I mean, you say all the time, it needs to be fair, but the other part of that for me is that you're one of the best people I've ever met at taking perspective. That you look at things from the point of view of whoever is, and that is supposedly a deficit for people on the spectrum. I think it's a deficit for those of us not on the spectrum.
I think it's for a lot of people, honestly,
Yeah.
Shannon. Yeah.
But having spent 10 years talking to you on a weekly basis, you are like the queen of this. You do such good perspective taking, and I hear you do it at all levels all day long. And so I'm sitting at the feet of the master trying to learn this. But I always now try to think of it whenever I hear a story of a kiddo on the spectrum, and I think, okay, if I were them, like what's my day like?
Yeah.
What's my big entertainment? What's my joy? What's my jam? What makes me super happy? What annoys the crap out of me? Right? Because I think we can all relate to that. And I know with my kid that sometimes setting me off is the most enjoyment he gets in a day.
Yeah.
Because he's bored if
Yep.
if there's nothing happening. Watching mom, the top of her head come off, at least it's good theater, right? It's entertainment of a type. It's vaudeville.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly, if you think about it, Shanna, I think it's more than, I agree with you. I think a lot of times our kids just do that because they're bored. But I think they also do that because there's an aspect of getting control back.
Yes.
So, like, as parents, we are constantly telling our kids what to do and what not to do, right? And especially when our kids are on the spectrum, it's even more control. And so I think our kids, they tolerate it, obviously, and they go along with it because that's how they've been raised. And of course, your feedback as a parent has helped them socialize, helped them be safe, helped them survive, helped them get along, all that. So it's beneficial for them to listen to it. But they're all independent human beings, right? And as independent human beings, we all kind of don't love being controlled. And so there's an aspect of our kids at some point or another kind of fighting back, wanting to upset you, wanting to take control back. Just and that's part of it too. And you know how difficult it is when your child does something to tick you off, being able to not react. And
Mm.
that's the answer, honestly. The answer is being able, if you're able to not react, that is the key to it.
Yeah.
And then of course then your child realizes, okay, this behavior was not, it didn't work. I
Yeah.
didn't get the attention that I had hoped. So I'm going to move on and do something else.
And the super interesting thing about that, when we can get that, you know the day you've got it. When your kid is doing something to get a rise out of you, and you just, keep doing whatever it is that you're doing, watering the plants, whatever, dusting the and you're not reacting to it, and then they figure it out and you figure it out, that becomes the basis of how you teach them to deal with bullying too. Because
Yeah.
then when the bully is trying to get a rise out of them, and you say to them, you act like nothing happened, or
Yeah.
whatever, that's how they get control over the bully too. So it becomes this full circle thing. uh, you
Yeah,
know
absolutely. And it's also important, I think, for people to realize that the initial reaction, when you ignore a child, the initial reaction is to get worse. They will behave worse in order to try, they'll do everything to try to get your attention. And once it'll, so do expect that. That is called the extinction burst. It actually even has a name because it's so common. So it's kind of like, again, as Shannon said, from the child's perspective, hey, I used to be able to tick people off, but now it's not working anymore. So I'm going to be able to, like, what can I do to get my mom to actually lose it or to actually react? So let me do some more bad behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to split a hair here, just because I know when you're talking about this, you know exactly what you're talking about, but sometimes you're talking to people who don't. So when you talk about ignoring, I just like to say to people, we ignore a behavior, not the child.
That's
It's a
right. That's
very, very fine line. But I see what happens sometimes, that people go, oh, I'm supposed to ignore him. And then they just ignore their child endlessly for 2 hours and go, I don't know why it's not working.
right.
That's not the ticket.
Yes. Yes. No, that's very important. That's a really important point that you bring up, Shannon. And thanks for doing that, because you want to actually attend to your child's positive behaviors, and you have to increase that. So just while you're ignoring the challenging behavior, if they're tantruming, you just act like they're not, like it is not happening. I'm not going to react to that. But you go about and do, you want to reward interaction, communication, anything else that they're doing, that they're able to do that's beneficial. So yeah, you want to make sure the child has you're differentiating between positive and negative behaviors.
Yeah. And so the difference for me is, if your child is like banging on the table, and your expert has said to you he's doing that for attention. So when he bangs on the table, you get really busy with something else. Now, you're not ignoring the child, you're ignoring this. So as soon as this stops and your child goes, Mom, you turn and immediately pay attention. That's
Yeah.
the difference between ignoring the behavior and ignoring the child.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will get that, because I do know people, Dr. Grampuchet, who just, that the child starts doing something and they dial the child down and don't pay attention to anything. And I'm like, that ain't
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Lori from the D has, well, first of all, let's say hi to Leanne. Leanne says she says, Leanne, you don't have to miss us. We're right here. You can be right here with us. And we don't want to miss you. So be here with us. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.